So if you've been in the video space for a while now, you've probably already heard somebody say that people are more forgiving of bad video than bad audio. This video is meant to just be a fun way to explore that, to see how bad can the video go, essentially. By no means will it be standardized or scientific or anything like that, but I am curious to see what type of combination will be most pleasing to the audience. So in order to do that, I'm going to make 5 combinations of video and audio at opposing qualities. That is to say, video quality will start kind of at the bottom and progressively get better, and then audio will start at the top and progressively get worse. I'll be using a video light for all of the combinations except the first one to keep things relatively standardized. Actually, to be honest, I just bought this thing and I want to test it out, so that's why it's there. The gear I'll be using: iPhone XR, the Fujifilm X-T4 that I'm filming with right now, and Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. For audio, I'll be using the RE20 by electro-voice, the VideoMic Pro Plus by Røde, the built-in mics of the Fuji X-T4, and AirPods Pro. So I've come up with 5 different combinations, and to break them up nicely, I've come up with 5 different reasons I like the Fuji X-T4, which, by the way, will be its own video with actual b-roll illustrating what I'm talking about and saying, so please check that out if you're interested as well. The first thing that I really like about the Fuji X-T1, no, it's not the X-T1, holy shit. The first thing that I like about the Fuji X-T1 is the color science, or the look. I really think the 10-bit codec has a beautiful rendering of skin tones and blues and oranges and reds. I'll link to a video that I shot that shows quick samples of the 10-bit formats and glimpses of the Eterna 1080p format that I would use for longer takes. It's quite surprising how different the higher bitrate and 10-bit format in f-log looks, and I find that pairing the X-T4 with Canon FD glass really makes for a stunningly beautiful image. Number 2 is the IBIS of the Fuji X-T4. I was a little bit worried that it's going to be warpy in the corners or really sticky when you're panning or moving the camera, but I brought it out with me on a walk with my dad and brother the other day, and I was very surprised and pleased with the results. If you do a little ninja walk or gimbal walk with it, then the results are actually quite pleasing, and is super useful when you're shooting with a small camera with fast primes without stabilization, or you're shooting on vintage legacy glass. Number 3, the number of combinations in the recording modes is very daunting at first. There's so much customization in what you can do. For example, you got all intra versus long GOP, 1080p versus 4K, 16:9 ratio to 17:9 ratio, bit rates, H.265 versus H.264 versus MOV versus MP4. A lot of different combinations. And for me, it was so daunting I just didn't really like it at the beginning. But now, if I really think about it, I actually really enjoy having that flexibility and all of those options. Having those options really allows you to dial in whatever settings are required in any given situation. If you need the best quality out of this camera, you got that. If you need 4K 60, you got that. You need a low bitrate 1080 for longer recordings, you have that as well. And the 10-bit is just really nice to have. Number 4, the autofocus. The autofocus seems to be really good. Now that being said, I haven't used the camera extensively enough to really comment on that fairly, but from my uses so far, which were just kind of personal documentation, everyth's been solid thus far. I do see on the screen that it has a box around my eye, so I'm assuming that it's locked on. But yeah, in the few days that I've used it, no problems thus far. The 16mm is pretty loud, but I'm fairly confident that it'll lock on and focus on what it's supposed to. And number 5 is a combination of a couple of things. The main one is actually the look of the camera. Super vain, I know, but I would be lying if I said that it didn't make me want to go shoot more. It's something akin to the effect of the Leica M8. Another beautiful camera, just looking at it makes you want to go shoot. Speaking of the M8, listen to this shutter. Now don't get me wrong, I love the sound of that shutter, but it is quite loud. If you compare it to the sound of the Fuji, very quiet. That doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but just to hear how quiet it is, it's very satisfying. And of course, the image quality of the Fuji X-T4 for photos will be great as well. Alright, well that's it for the video. Obviously, the framing changed with the Pocket 4K, so maybe, I don't know if that affects anything. Not a standardized test, not a scientific test in the slightest, but I think it does beg the question of how much do you invest into video quality over audio? I know definitely having this light itself just makes a big difference. The difference between trying to make a lighting situation like this work versus turning this light on, worse audio and getting some good video quality. So yeah, let me know your thoughts below, which combination you like the best. What do you think is a very healthy balance between investing into audio gear and camera gear? And that's about it. Thank you so much for your time. If you're interested in other videos, I don't have a lot of gear related stuff, but I have a lot of stuff related to creativity and productivity. So if you're interested in that, I would appreciate your time. If not, have a wonderful day. Be safe. Bye bye.